Hey, and welcome to Soundcheck by Support Act. I'm Luke from Support Act, and today I am joined by the amazing Emily Ulman. Thanks for joining us, Emily.
Thank you for having me, Luke and Support Act.
No worries. And first of all, thank you to you for being one of the minds behind Isol-Aid.
You're so welcome.
Incredible efforts. And before I let you have a chance to speak, I just want to say that Isol-Aid has been responsible for over 10% of all the funds that we've raised as part of our emergency relief fund, which is absolutely amazing. In a time where people are so fundraising fatigued, we've had fires and there's so many causes, but Isol-Aid was one of these amazing things that kind of galvanized people and their love around music. So thank you, Emily.
That's pretty amazing. I hadn't heard that. So I hadn't heard that figure. So that's pretty amazing. 10% is incredible. And not only people fundraising fatigued, but they don't necessarily have the access to funds that they did in the past.
That's right. Yeah. Anyway, like I learned on Play School yesterday, 1, 2, 3, pat for me. So you can have one of those, I reckon. It's time to pat yourself on the back, Emily.
Each shoulder. Oh, that feels pretty good, actually.
It does.
Yeah.
You'll have to join us, me and Holly Norman, for one of our online yoga sessions we've been doing.
I've been doing shout outs, like if anyone has invented the virtual massage, I just want
like sticks from afar or something like that. Anyway, let's talk about Isol-Aid. It's obviously become a phenomenon. I've seen you on breakfast news. I've seen you all over the place. And as a festival idea itself, absolutely incredible. Perhaps before we dive into Isol-Aid, you can tell us a little bit about your career in the music industry and how this all came about.
Cool, that's a good question. So I guess my career in the music industry has been long and varied. I've done everything from, predominantly venue booking. That's my background. I started at the Prince of Wales in St Kilda, then moved to the Toff in Town.
I knew I'd seen your name around the place.
Yeah, I've done a bit at Gasso. Anyway, lots of different venues and other bits and pieces, and done, publicity and a bit of management and tour managing and anything. I think we've all got lots of strings to our bow, and so as well as playing music as well. But most recently, I have had, I don't know in which tense to talk about my contracts, but I was the programmer for Brunswick Music Festival. And so we were fortunate enough to have the first week, of shows and performances go ahead without any hiccups. But then the second week of our festival was cancelled, which of course was just a huge disappointment. Everything across the board was being cancelled, and I could only really experience it from my own, from the inside. And it was just a huge devastation, just a year of work. And, I put my heart and soul into everything. Anyway, it was just a huge disappointment. And
before you go on, sorry to interrupt you, but before you go on, that's something that I haven't really spoken about with many guests, is that feeling of disappointment when the cancellations started coming through. I know that I was meant to work on Download backstage, and then that got cancelled, and I was like, oh, gutted.
So yeah, I guess, because we got away with the first week of the festival, we were able to carry on, those shows. And because the government was revealing or unveiling or however you want to call it, they were, putting out their restrictions, and they were changing things so quickly, and we were just having to respond to government recommendations. And so, at one stage, it was 500 people were okay. So I thought we were going to get away with having most of our shows go on. And even the shows that we'd sold more than 500 tickets, we'd spoken to the artist, and we were going to potentially do 2 shows in one day. So be able to have 2 sessions and be able to have bigger capacities, just split them over 2 shows. And we'd had, we were kind of negotiating, working around the information that we would, we were given by the government. And then we just realized that it was, getting smaller and smaller. And even if we were, technically allowed to go on, that it wasn't necessarily the responsible thing to do, given the circumstances and given what that would mean, the potential of the risk to the artists and to the crowd. So yeah, so we cancelled the second week. So it was pretty heartbreaking. Like I definitely had a good 24-hour cry. And yeah, I know Support Act is all about mental health. And so, and it's something that I'm pretty open about. But yeah, I do sort of feel like that was part of the kind of, yeah, the process that I had to do to kind of move past, the grief, I suppose. I don't know, whatever it was, the disappointment, of just having to cancel and also having to let the artists know. And at that stage, I didn't know whether the artists or the shows that were cancelled, whether or not they would be paid. Anyway, I found out yesterday that in fact the Moreland City Council is going to pay everybody that was involved. Well,
Sweet relief.
It's a relief, but it's beyond relief, really. It's just, I think, just a real cause for celebration. I think, all the tickets were refunded. It's not like there's this kind of resource of money just sitting there that they could access to pay everyone, but just the fact that they're honouring this.
Well, bravo to Moreland City Council.
I think so. I think it's just amazing. I think it's just particularly at the moment with the arts being the hardest hit, it seems to me anyway, or one of the hardest hit. It just felt really great that the musicians and all of their teams and crew and everyone could get paid. So that's great. But anyway, so in amongst all of that, the wonderful Merpire, who is a beloved Melbourne singer and songwriter and just amazing. So she was supposed to be embarking upon her single launch tour. And so that was cancelled. And so she called me up, said that she'd had this idea, and we just had this chat and worked out kind of on that phone call pretty much how this Isol-Aid festival, it wasn't called Isol-Aid at that stage, but how it was going to be, what would be the best length and how we were going to work it out and how we were going to program it and how long it would be. And because it was supposed to be just that first weekend, the first Saturday and Sunday, that it was the 21st and 22nd of March, we decided that 12 hours on, midday to midnight on the Saturday and the Sunday, which was 74 acts, that would be the way to go. And then after the first weekend, it was just unanimously loved. The artists absolutely loved it. It meant that they had something to prepare for. They, each artist invariably has seen, 100, 200, 300 new followers at least. They get to decorate their spaces and, put little candles and fairy lights and,
they can make their stage look however they want.
Exactly. And then also, the people at home get to still connect with other music lovers, get to connect with their favourite artists and see, where they're isolating, because one of the definite messages of Isol-Aid is about staying home. So that was a really important message, that the artists also kind of perform where they're isolating from. And so here we are.
Just to get into the philosophy behind it. The one thing that we're trying to get this message across, that even though we're apart, it does feel like people are being brought together more than ever, because we are actually, even for work, like we are now, Emily, we're in each other's lounge rooms, or you're in my spare bedroom. I think I'm in your lounge room or something similar.
You are in my lounge room. I like that plant you've got going on behind. It looks like it's sort of coming out of your hair.
This guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the background has gotten bigger and better as I've done more of these. But
Well, there's one thing that I've noticed, doing Isol-Aid, is that musicians love their indoor plants. I know you're a musician as well.
Totally.
Yeah, we love our plants. So that's, hence the hashtag indoor plants of Isol-Aid.
Totally. But it really has become this thing, if you're a music lover, which I think through this, Support Act especially, we've just gone, our audience are music lovers just as much as is artists. It's not just about being within our own industry. It's about encouraging Australian music lovers to get behind Australian musicians. And I think the one thing that Isol-Aid did really well is that it allowed you to feel personal with that artist that you loved and look into their life and into their lounge room.
Yeah, I think I sort of knew this going into Isol-Aid, but I think it's even more apparent to me now, but just how much, you know, it's more than the love and the connection and everything. It's just, it's actually intrinsic to our identity, and if not synonymous with our identity. I think, you know, even for me on a personal level, I'm isolating on my own with my cat who's over there, and
1,000 emails.
at least. Yeah, but just sort of like how I, you know, I miss my music community. I miss the people that I see at gigs. I miss, you know, like, and so, yeah, having that become, you know, very, very clear that people, you know, we identify, we wear our music band t-shirts, we discuss the latest single that's being released, we go to single launches, we go to festivals, you know, we really, like, that's how we kind of communicate in a lot of ways, like by, and we, you know, reach each other and we communicate and we find our community is by music. And so that's definitely something that Isol-Aid is enabling us to kind of continue.
Helps bring everyone back together, so to speak.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah. And so, and it's also like now it's become sort of this regular thing. Like we announced the lineup.
Well, that was my next question. So after you did the first one, and it was this huge success, and you know, the name Isol-Aid just became ubiquitous, you know, and it was synonymous with people at home trying to find, you know, what is essentially brand new, rare content. Like back in the day, like if you could sit down and watch your favorite artist play acoustic guitar in their own lounge room, completely unamplified, you'd be stoked. Like that's behind the paywall content, and all of a sudden you can see it. So after the success of the first one, when did you go, oh, we've got to do it again?
Straight away, like straight after the
like first hour 10.
Yeah. Oh, because I couldn't stop crying that first weekend. Like I was just happy, sad. I don't know. Like everything was just happening. Like it was so obviously beautiful. The comments were just in the, you know, in the chat thread.
Yeah.
Comment section were just so overwhelmingly positive. You know, for each other, like to, you know, towards each other and the artists performing, and it has that feeling of a festival, like you're in the crowd sort of saying hi to people that you recognize. And so yeah, almost immediately we were just like, oh, I think we've got to do this again, like let's just do a second week. And then yeah, it's felt really natural, and now it's something that I really want to just sort of make certain. I think there's so much uncertainty and so much you know, doubt, and you know, when are we, you know, when are the restrictions going to be lifted? You know, when can we, you know, meet with 2 other people? When can we do this? Can I go to my partner's place? Like all of those things that aren't certain in any way. We were just like, you know, we announced the lineup at midday on Fridays, Saturday and Sunday, the festival, and you know, it's happening. Like there's no, doubt.
But also, like, the challenge now, I guess, is in the age of terrible Saturday night television, whether Isol-Aid has a place, you know, in people's homes on a Saturday night after people can go back out again. Have you thought that far ahead?
Yeah, I think about it all the time. I think that, you know, another beautiful thing that's come out of Isol-Aid is just what it means to have sort of the status quo and the way that we consume and discover music disrupted. And I do think that the disruption, even though it sounds like a negative thing, is actually a really positive thing. And access is, you know, so important, whether it be, you know, people with physical, you know, disabilities or, you know, facing physical access issues, or people who, for example, you know, don't like big crowds or loud noises or whatever it might be. Like, I think having access to live music, despite you know, the potential of having these barriers, is only a good thing. So, and not just for the viewers and for the punters, but also for the musicians, because as we all know, you know, tours get cancelled. Sometimes, you know, lead singers or bass guitarists or whoever, you know, become pregnant, or you know, all sorts of things.
All of the trials of being an artist.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's no reason why these things should be barriers for, you know, performance, and why we shouldn't be able to still be able to access live music, the performance and the viewing. So yeah, I'm not saying that this is going to be the format, that will continue post-isolation, but yeah, I do see that things aren't, that there is room for change, and that I think these changes have been really positive.
Yeah, absolutely. I certainly feel, being in the first Sound of Silence meetings, where you guys were getting mentioned, and then all of a sudden there was just so many streaming festivals. But you guys got going so quickly, so it's certainly a testament to the brains behind the scene. Who are some of the other people that were involved behind the scenes? And maybe you've got like an artist story or two you'd like to share with us, if there's anything that kind of springs to mind.
I don't know what the rating is of this show and what
R-rated. Emily, you can go.
Can I go? I won't say names, but there was
artist, crew, and agents, labels, etc. who are watching this.
I won't name names, but I did. There's an artist that's playing this weekend who, on an acid trip, decided that Instagram was bad and that it was evil and all the sorts of things. So deleted their Instagram. Oh, this is going to be a dead giveaway because they're not performing from their own Instagram account this weekend. Anyway, so that was a funny story. I just love the thought of just like, I really want to play Isol-Aid, but I don't have an Instagram. So many awesome stories. There's of course the romance that sprouted in the comments section. A couple met. I can't remember which gig it was.
No way.
They just got to chatting and then took it out. Like they took it out.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So they haven't met yet in person, but I definitely chat to them a little bit, and have decided that I'll be emceeing their wedding.
Wow.
Our first Isol-Aid wedding. So many cool stories. I don't know.
There's so much to be happy about, Emily. It's such a fantastic initiative, Isol-Aid, and I hope to see it continue on, because I still think there's enough introverts or people who can't be stuffed going out to sit on the couch and watch Isol-Aid on a Saturday night going forward. Before we wrap up, I just wanted to talk, obviously this whole web series is about well-being, how to look after yourself, and also see an insight into how other people are doing it. Do you want to let everyone know like how you've been looking after yourself in isolation? What have you been doing to keep busy, keep your mind active, other than dealing with emails and phone calls all day?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm the best example, because I'm busier than I've ever been. So I don't really, self-care is probably not at the top of my list, but it is definitely on my list. And it's something like I'm making sure that I eat well. I'm making sure that I do, small things to pamper myself. I'm burn my candles and incense, or, oil burners and things. And I make sure that my space feels good to be in, because that's where I am all the time. So I definitely make sure that it looks good and it feels good to be in. But I was thinking earlier about just about loneliness, because that definitely creeps in, and particularly at night or when I stop working for the day, I feel that the loneliness come in, and even if I have these Zoom calls or house party or whatever it might be, it's not the same as like wrapping your arms around different.
No, you want some touch.
Yeah, but I've been thinking as well that particularly with Support Act and just talking about mental health in general, that loneliness is not a pathology. It's a normal reaction. I shouldn't be in any way sort of feeling weird about talking about loneliness. It's the same as, I think, we just need to.
No, it's not to be ashamed of.
Yeah.
Like you say, it's not the same as coming out and perhaps talking about depression or anxiety. That's just, it's a very natural human thing to be.
Totally. And even
and lonely.
Totally. And even more severe, cases of mental illness. I just think that these are the times that, that we're all going through stuff. We're all going through whatever it might be. And, and it can just be as, natural and normal as sort of recognizing it as, feeling hungry or feeling tired or whatever it is, sort of checking in with yourself and kind of, recognizing what that feels like and what are the things that make you feel good. Whether it be, for me, sometimes I'm like, oh, this doesn't feel good right now. I'm not feeling my best self, and that might mean that I play guitar, or I read a book, or I just call someone and just cry or whatever.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, whatever it takes. So, but I think again, I think hopefully there will be a lot to take from this time, and that might be that we're more in tune with our own rhythms and what our priorities are, do we want to spend however much time working on a festival or focus on our music or,
what your real purpose is.
I think so. I definitely feel like the people that I speak to, at least, are recognizing those things and what, going forward, what they're going to prioritize. I reckon that's awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I've made a pledge to myself that I'm not playing another wedding ever again, Emily.
Okay, well, if that Isol-Aid wedding happens, I won't be calling you.
Don't call me for that one. I won't be there.
Like, is this Isol-Aid hair? Like, is this the length, or did you have a crew cut when we started Isol-Aid?
This is my castaway look I've been working on for the last 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, wonderful talking to you, Emily Ulman. Thank you so much for joining us. Isol-Aid, such an incredible initiative. Look forward to tuning in again this weekend and hopefully keep going for as long as it possibly can keep going. As long as you guys can keep responding to those emails and making those phone calls and booking the artists in. Thank you so much, Emily. And on behalf of Support Act, we really appreciate all the amazing work you guys have done. It really means a lot.
Thank you as well. I'm going to cut you off because I feel like you're going to.
I've cut you off many times.
But I do want to thank you. I just think it's such an important resource, and we're so lucky to have an organisation like Support Act, because you're our lifeline at the moment for physical, mental hardship. And so thank you. I know you're working harder than a lot of us. So thank you very much for putting the joy in giving us that hope and being there to support us all.
No problem. All right, thanks for joining us on Soundcheck once again, and I'll see you next time. Bye.